Hey everybody, it's Daniel. So recently I shared this tweet and it was about how one of the most anti-black things that a black man could do is to bash black women. And I shared the tweet because honestly I agree with that sentiment always and forever. But I had people reach out to me and say, hey, Daniel, actually this was shared because of a particularly disgusting and trash podcast episode that came out recently. And folks shared those episodes with me. Now, it took a lot to keep my lunch down while watching this trash. But I want to talk about this because there's a particular point I want to hammer home about these kind of ridiculous individuals. So I'm not even going to share their name or their podcast because they don't deserve it. But they go into how most black women are ratchet and they say annoying and not reserved. And so that's why they don't date most of them. And how they said that most black women are the stereotype. All of this disgusting trash. It kind of makes me sick even to have to say it again. And how this one black woman that they were talking to on the podcast is the exception and how great she is. And all I could think as I was listening to this and watching this and seeing how they treated Asian Doll and how rude they were to her, all I could think to myself was, wow, these guys sure are acting like white supremacists. Now, I want to explain what I mean by that because some people are under the illusion that you can't be a white supremacist if you're like, you have to be white to be a white supremacist. That's not true at all. White supremacy is an ideology. It's wrapped up in the particular package of American ideals of white supremacists, imperialists, capitalists, patriarchy, Christian ideology. This mix of oppressions and mindsets that are filtered and sifted into everything we do as Americans. But when we locate particularly on white supremacists and patriarchy and imperialists, when we focus on these things, I think it is quite obvious that these men are white supremacists. And I don't really want to hear people say, oh, well, I don't really think that's fair. I don't really think that's right. No. These men, I don't know what their individual lives are like and what their experience is. But for whatever reason, they have an issue with particular black women. Now, that's not weird because people have issues with people. This is not about black women particularly and just focusing on that label. People have issues with people. But instead of focusing on whatever was the reason of their issues with those people and locating it into those particular individuals and their decisions and their behaviors and their character, no. They take those issues that they had, whether real or imagined, because I don't think it's fair to necessarily assume they actually have real grievances. And they take it and just spread it and slather it on all black women. And so all black women have to pay a price because these men have some sort of insecurity issues because these men are ridiculous, because these men are unserious. And I'm tired of it. I am tired of watching black men carry on white supremacist behaviors and patterns because you have decided to blame all black women for the actions of some, when really it might be your fault that you have those issues with those particular folks in the first place. I could go on and on with that, but I'm just going to bring it back to the main topic. When you decide that you are going to blame a whole group of people for the actions of some, and you're going to locate it particularly in their race and in their gender, I don't want to hear that you're not white supremacists, because that is what white supremacy does. White men and white people in the United States have been doing this for generation after generation after generation after generation after generation. So I don't want to hear you say, I don't want to hear anyone tell me that that's not white supremacist. That's all it is. You didn't say you had an issue with particular people. You didn't locate it to those individuals and their actions, their behavior, and their decisions. You located it in them being black women. And then you said most black women. And then you brought up stereotypes. It's disgusting and it's white supremacists. So I just want to make this clear because it's actually also misogynoir behavior. Because it's the intersection of blackness and womanness. It's disgusting. So I just want to wrap up with this. If you are a black man and you talk like that, you have been successfully co-opted into white supremacy. And you need to go into a quiet place of some solitude and you need to work yourself out. Because if you don't fix this stuff inside yourself, where you just talk about all black women in this way, all, then you are playing into white supremacy and you are on the side of the enemy, whether you know it or not. Black women, I beg you, when you hear black men talk like this, run. They're not worth it. And a lot of you do. And that's the only thing that didn't make me lose my mind when I watched it. I thought, okay, I know a lot of black women that when they hear men talk like this, they run. They head for the hills because they know nothing good is coming from a man like that. But for any black women who don't know that, I beg of you, as a black man who's trying to be his best every single day for himself, for his wife, for his family, for his community, please, with everything, I beg you, run from those men. They mean you no good. They are agents of white supremacy, whether they know it or not, and they should be ignored, discarded at all costs. But because of the harm they cause, I felt the need that I had to say something in this video. And I hope that you will share this with anyone that you think might not see the problem with what men like that say and what those men say, so that we can move on as a people from this kind of toxic, abusive, manipulative, terrible rhetoric and behavior. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you take care of yourself in these difficult times.